Hi everyone, I am Cameron Sunde. I'm an artist and I work at the intersection of performance art, video art, and public art. I'm also the co-founder of Works on Water, which is a triennial and a nonprofit organization dedicated to art made on, in, and with the water. We like to say water art is the new land art. So thank you, SDG Action Zone, for having me here. Thank you all for listening. Here we are today at the last day of the zone, and we just had this wonderful summary of what has happened, with all the energy this week, which is amazing. We just heard all these follow-ups. And so this question of how do we sustain this energy is really interesting to me. How do we expand and amplify the movement with this transition? How do we keep that pressure on? And I like to believe that art actually can do this in a really important, special way. I believe that making, experiencing, and supporting art is one of the best possible ways to take action, because it can make you see something, experience something, feel something that is unfamiliar, and this opens up new forms of awareness. As individuals, as a community, as a civilization, and as a species. Let's see. Are we gonna play? There we go. I wanna make sure we're playing the video. There we go. Okay. Ooh, we can turn the sound down, like way down. Awesome. So artists are doing this work. This project that I'm going to share with you is called 36.5, A Durational Performance with the Sea. It's an ongoing series of performances and video works where I actually stand in a tidal bay starting at low tide, and I let the water rise up to my neck, and then it goes back down again over the course of 12 to 13 hours. I work with a local community, and I invite them to participate in all aspects of the project and stand with me in the water in the final form, as well as participate on the shore. We film the whole thing in real time and then turn that into a durational video work of the same length. What you're seeing here is a time lapse of a 12-hour, 46-minute performance. There's also a 12-hour, 46-minute video. I've done this project in Maine, Mexico, San Francisco, the Netherlands, Bangladesh, and Brazil. I'm about to go to Kenya, and I will do it in New Zealand and then New York City very soon. So in the project, the tide is functioning as a metaphor for sea level rise. The project began in 2013 really as a poetic gesture that was in response to Hurricane Sandy hitting New York City, which is where I live. I suddenly realized, I had this big moment where I realized that our cities are just as vulnerable as our individual bodies. And now 36.5 has turned into this complex series of productions with so many stories, too many to tell you right now. The image I'm trying to create is of people who are unprepared for the water to rise, as in, especially in urban environments. This time-lapse is in the Netherlands, when government officials and water engineers stood with me in the middle, including a few people who are with us in the audience right now. The next slide is of Maine, where it began. This is where it started. This is when I really realized that the tides could be a metaphor for environmental change. So people often ask me what it feels like to stand in the water for a full tidal cycle. What do I think about? And it's a great question, because the project is actually about actively trying to feel something that is a very abstract idea. It's about that scale and duration, trying to understand what will happen when the waters will rise, with our bodies just as much as with our minds, transforming intellectual comprehension, which many of us have, into a physical understanding. During the performance, the currents will push and pull, and the power of the water is very clear. So I listen to it, and I try to stay present, and I take it all in, and I feel time passing as a sensory experience. And this is what I hope my audience will feel too, both the live audience who participates and the secondary audience who watches the slow durational videos much later. I hope that this feeling will lead to some long-term thinking. Let's look to the ancient past in order to consider the perhaps not so distant but very hard to comprehend future. So what happens if we really feel scale in our tiny bodies in relationship to our enormous planet and the 7/10 of it that is covered in ocean water? When I'm out there, I feel connected to every drop of water, to people on the other side of the world. What challenges will they face? What are they facing already? And thus the need to touch all 6 continents. Participants join me standing in the water for however long they want and mark the passing of the hours from the shore. They bring this collective strength. We are all individuals and we are all a collective humanity. And I hope they experience something that they will remember in their bodies. Vinicius is a 16-year-old production assistant in Brazil who told me, he was so proud to have stood with me for 2 hours, and he told me afterward that he felt like a tree rooting down and spreading out to find new strengths. One of the best outcomes in the Netherlands was 3 older Dutch gentlemen who told me separately that experience of standing in the water changed them. Paul Kook, who swims every day, said that he saw the water with new eyes and experienced a new sense of time and place. When you stand still in the water for long periods of time, these little changes become big events. We zoom in close in order to zoom out and see the big picture. Sometimes resilience means letting the water move you. The seemingly impossible becomes possible, and this gives me hope. My perceptions have shifted completely from doing this work, and my goal is to share this with as many people as possible. Imagine if everybody around the world could experience what sea level rise feels like on their bodies before it happens. How might our future plans for adapting to new realities shift then? So as I said, I'm working on the final 3 versions of the work. I'll be going to Kenya shortly. The next performance is November 8th. It will be live streamed. And then I'll be in New Zealand early next year, and then New York City in 2020, 8 years after Sandy. For this final work, I'm trying to do some deep community engagement with 5 to 7 frontline neighborhoods in the city, as well as create some reenactments in other parts of the world. And we're trying to reach out to people and partners around the world to have some active global participation on that final day in September of 2020. I think of it as acupuncture on the planet, transoceanic communication. So I hope that you all here today will plan to stand with me and stand with us as we move this project forward, seeing the power of art for action. Thank you.